Today we'll be talking about the magical girl, Hanna Sarasa, so let's begin. Hanna Sarasa is a 15-year-old magical girl. She is 158 centimeters in height, with both her hair and eyes being purple. She comes from Mizuna Ward in Kamihama City. Hanna's soul gem is a pink light sphere with 4 protrusions located as a brooch on her scarf. Her weapon is a rod, which is also a man-catcher, which was used in Europe as late as the 18th century. It was used primarily to pull a person from horseback and drag them to the ground, where they could be helplessly pinned. Her witch doppel is Hund Balou, and her wish to be a magical girl was to erase the memories people had of her peers who bullied her at school, even calling them trash to say the least in her wish. Erase those worthless pieces of trash. Hanna's known relatives are her unnamed mother and father, who are both deceased. Hanna attends a Mizuna Girls' School in the 9th grade. Her magical girl element is the dark element, and her ability is duplication. An introvert, this magical girl isn't good when it comes to people. Oppressed at both home and school, she hates the world. After her contract was made, she encouraged something that changed her strange fate even further. Although eccentric, she loves animals. The doppel of refutation, its form is a pet. The master of this emotion learned to control others using a borrowed power. In time, this act morphed into the form of a desire, and this is the embodiment of that twisted state. It is a freakish kind of vengeance brought upon by a past of suffering at the hands of others, a reserved and boded projection of the self. There is not an ounce of guilt in it, only pure madness. This doppel binds those it faces in numberless lashes, and crushes them with its gargantuan hands as it trembles in easy, endless ecstasy. Hanna narrates that her childhood was miserable. Her drunken father was a petty criminal who gambled away what little money he made and would beat Hanna to relieve his stress. Her mother was his main target before Hanna was born, simply pretended nothing was happening. One day, Hanna's father started an argument with someone who stabbed him to death, and her mother began drinking and walking around at night to celebrate her newfound freedom. While drunkenly walking the streets one night, Hanna's mother was hit by a car and killed, leaving Hanna alone. Hanna's relief was short-lived, however, as her school life became just as miserable due to the torment of bullies. Due to everyone at her orphanage avoiding her, she had no one to confide in. She took to writing all her negative feelings in her notebook, causing her tormentors and fantasizing about revenge, which became one of her few sources of joy in her life. Chibe arrived and offered Hanna a contract. Hanna was initially skeptical, but took the opportunity to wish her bullies out of existence, erasing them from everything but her own memories, so she alone could reveal in knowing everything they did was pointless and forgotten. caught up in her victory, Hanna is dismissive of Kyubey, telling her that in exchange for her wish being granted, she must become a magical girl. However, she struggled with her newfound power, barely being able to defeat familiars. She took her new duties as a magical girl very seriously, but couldn't figure out how to fight efficiently, and eventually became overpowered in a labyrinth. She was saved by another magical girl she had never seen before, who introduced herself as Mikoto Senna. Despite Hanna's extreme social awkwardness, the two decided to team up and fight together going forward, as Mikoto was nervous about fighting on her own and Hanna was struggling in combat, and viewed Mikoto as useful so she herself could do less work. If becoming a magical girl was first turning point in her life, Hanna narrates in the present and meeting Mikoto was the second. Mikoto explained to Hanna that her magic was mind control, which she discovered by accident shortly after contracting. Hanna was amazed by Mitoki's magic, and even more amazed to discover when each though the same means that she could also make others do what she ordered. Mikoto initially believed that Hanna possessed the mind control magic as well, but Hanna was suspicious of how she only discovered this power after meeting someone with the same ability. She tried teaming up with other magical girls to test her hypnosis and found that she could use the magic as well of theirs, confirming her suspicions that her innate magic was to copy that of others. However, she found she could only use one ability at a time, as copying a new ability would overwrite the previous one. Mikoto found Hanna's magic incredible and described its potential for experimentation, but Hanna replied that upon trying different kinds of magic, she found that Mikoto's was the best due to its convenience. Mikoto was surprised and proud, which made Hanna happy as well. Hanna breaks from the story to narrate that all the magical girls whose abilities she had copied, only one is still alive. Hanna calls this magical girl the magical girl who talks funny, and explains that she and Mikoto first encountered this girl on a roof at the Daito apartment complex, where Mikoto lived and which Hanna and Mikoto used as a hunting ground for witches. One day, while fighting a witch on the roof, Hanna and Mikoto bumped into this girl, Kannagi Izumi, and worked together to defeat the witch. Hanna was distrustful of Kannagi due to her over-formal way of speaking, finding it suffocating, while Mikoto was grateful and unguarded. As Mitoko was talking to Kannagi, Hanna described to try and test something she'd been thinking about for a while. After Kannagi left, Hanna followed and confronted her, asking her to forget about meeting Hanna and Mitoki and saying that Kannagi smelled like trouble. Kannagi replied that her memories didn't work that way, to which Hanna responded by transforming and using her magic in order for Kannagi to forget the encounter. Afterwards, Kannagi wondered where the witch she had been tracking went, having forgotten beating it alongside Hanna and Mitoko, and decided to search elsewhere. Delighted, Hanna felt like she had been granted another wish, realizing that she and Mikoto could use their power to disappear from the world whenever they wanted, living like ghosts. Hanna decided that she was going to follow through with this idea and erase memories of her existence, along with Mikoto. Hanna noted that although she'd only intended to use Mikoto at first, at some point Mikoto had become very important to her, and that her friendship with Mikoto was only real friendship and relationship. She couldn't wait to tell Mikoto her plan, but struggled to figure out how to exactly say it to Mikoto. Was passionate about duty to help others. At this time, there was an extreme shortage of witches, and Mikoto refused to stop using her full power to kill as many familiars as she could find. Hanna expressed concern over how much energy Mikoto was using and requested they try to fight less, but Mikoto adamantly insisted that they continue fighting as they had been. Hanna eventually gave in, realizing that Mikoto would never accept her plan to vanish from the world. After defeating another familiar on the Daito apartment complex rooftop, Hanna worried limited that they had came up with empty again. To which Mikoto didn't respond. Hanna assumed Mikoto was lost in thought as usual and told her that even though the view from the rooftop was pretty, they needed to leave. After Mikoto still didn't answer, Hanna prompted her again. Mikoto stared that she felt weird. When Hanna realized something was wrong, Mikoto began screaming in pain, begging Hanna to help her. Hanna told her to stay calm, but noticed that Mikoto's soul gem had become completely corrupted. Mikoto asked Hanna what was happening to her before becoming a witch. In the present, Hanna notes that the world is never done being cruel to her, but that at this point, she used to it. After scaling Mikoto's witch, Hanna was approached by Kyubei, who attempted to explain the magical girl system to her. Hanna didn't take it in, only being able to fixate on the fact that witches came from magical girls. After Kyubei's explanation was finished, Hanna started smiling and suffered a complete mental breakdown, laughing hysterically and bashing her own head into the floor repeatedly. Kyubei asked if she was alright, but Hanna only continued laughing madly, wondering what had become of her and claiming she could see everything. Kyubei asked what she meant, to which Hanna responded that she felt fantastic. Grinning widely, she stated that she hated the world and took Kyubei's offer because she didn't care about anything. Especially becoming a magical girl improved her life greatly, and she came to believe she could put her past misery behind her and start moving forward. However, seeing the fate of a magical girl, Hanna finally realized that happiness was never going to be hers. Watching Mikoto die right in front of her was the final straw. Becoming depressed, she said that while she used to think she should just die, she couldn't have imagined her fate would end up being something even worse. Hanna said that after spending her entire life running, she had finally felt like she had gotten away, only to find this end waiting for her. Laughing wildly again, Hanna claimed this revelation to be the funniest thing she ever known. Kyubei asked Hanna what she wanted to do going forward. Hanna smiled and complained that the question before answering if she herself life was doomed to be an end miserable. She wanted to have as much fun as possible while she could. Kyubei questioned what she meant by this, and Hanna responded that she would start repelling against the incubators by doing things that would get in the way of their plans. Hanna claimed she would befriend witches instead of killing them. Before realizing she would become a witch herself without grief seeds, she intended her statement to say that she would befriend some witches and kill others, conducting that anything was possible with her magic. Kyubei was baffled, but Hanna ignored him and gleefully used her magic to bind Mikoto's witch to the Daito apartment complex, telling it to spread as much despair as it wanted, and promising to come visit. Breaking down and laughing again, Hanna wondered what to do next. In the present, Hanna finishes her story and is revealed to have been telling it to a witch. She remarks that she enjoys recalling her past now and again, and as a reminder how she became who she is now, She thanks the witch for spending time with her and attempts to kill it, before changing her mind and deciding to mind control it to spread despair. Hanna tells the player to forget about her, as she has plans and doesn't want anyone to tell about her existence. Uh-oh. Although her ability isn't well explained on what it can do, we do know her ability duplication means she can copy the ability of her opponents used against her, but she can only copy one ability at a time. Hanna's first name means sail and what, while her last name, Sarasa, means calico cloth, which are cloths painted with flowers and other patterns in different colors. Fact number 1, her illustrator is Mira Caro, who is the artist of Bala Magi Oroco Magica. Fact 2, Hund is German word for dog or hound. Balou is from Portuguese word for bleat or ba, the characteristic sound of a sheep. Together, the name translates to bleating dog or sheepdog. Sheepdogs are breeds historically bred for the herding and guarding of sheep and every other livestock. Fact 3, her doppel may also have some meaning in how it looks. With belts being wrapped around the doppel's head, this may symbolize how suffocated she feels in life, not having freedom to her true self. It potentially has disturbing allegories hinting at madness and desire to control others, hence the fact this doppel ties to restrain others and she sees it as a rightful form of revenge. The doppel itself is also restricted, but when she unleashes its power, she releases her anger and insanity, which has a naive basis, as if she's unleashing her pent-out negativity from being abused. This may have been bullying from peers, and she is still in school. Fact 4, her voice actor is Miho Okazaki, who you may know for roles such as Miku Nishino in Ongaku Shoujo, Foil in Overlord Season 3, Rimuru Tempest. In That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Yes, you hear and read that correctly. She is Rimuru. Mary Hunt in My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. Meme Rudon in Monster Girl Doctor. And Mao in The Great Jihi Will Not Be Defeated. And that is Hanna Sarasa. Next time we'll be going over Ayaka Mariko. See you next time.